Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. We are pleased to be joined by Justin Thelen, the head football coach at Saginaw Heritage. Justin, how are you?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on. It's always a sign that football is here. Joining the Casey Campbell podcast, so I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So how has the summer gone for you guys? And how is the what does this week look like for you guys? Because I know that all these different coaches do something different.
It's been a great summer. We wrapped school up actually in late May, so we were able to jump right in once June hit. We had a great turnout all summer long. Our kids did an awesome job. Um, we get a lot of time with them, obviously, with the 15 competitive dates in the summer. And so fortunately, we get a great turnout here. It's a football hungry community with football hungry families. So our kids turn out, they work really hard, and we're looking to hit the ground running next week on the 11th. We actually we give them this preseason down period off. We encourage them to spend time with their families, to stay active, obviously, to make sure that they're ready to roll come next Monday. But we want our guys to be fresh and really hungry for next week.
Yeah. So what's the outlook for the Hawks this coming year?
Yeah, we want to be the best versions of ourselves every day, every week, every game, and compete for championships. We have been very competitive the last couple of years, having won a couple straight district titles here, and we really like the group that we have back. But we want to take things one step at a time, while also pushing that the standard here is to compete for championships. We want to compete for the SVL. We want to compete for district and hopefully regional titles and beyond. But in order to do that, we're going to have to get better every single day to really master the importance of practice and the importance of details. The success that we've been able to have the last couple of years, it guarantees nothing about the 2025 season. And we've got a lot of guys that have been really steady contributors from the last couple of years that will be back and understand just the importance of getting better every single week throughout. This is a long season. It's a long year, and struggles that you have early in the year, as long as you focus on and improve upon them, that can come full circle and lead to success later in the year. We definitely hit some bumps earlier in the year. Last year, we lost a really close one to Grand Blanc. We lost to Davison. We lost to Midland High week 7. We ended up seeing Midland High again. And, we learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I think our guys were really intentional and learned a lot about themselves. And guys who played really important football for us down the stretch last year will be back. And so hopefully we can have the emotional maturity of a group that can learn without having to get punched in the mouth early on. You can learn those lessons early on in camp through scrimmage week and into week 1. So we really like the group that we have coming back, but just taking things one day at a time.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the players that are going to be returning for your team this year, and some of the names to watch for as we get started.
Yeah, we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. We return our quarterback, Connor Greif. I love Connor, man. He breathes football, super talented, extremely smart. He retains information really fast. I put a lot on our quarterbacks. We put a lot on our quarterbacks in this program, and he's the type of guy that, whether we're going no huddle or we're going short huddle, he's able to get everybody in place and make sure that guys know exactly where they need to be. And I think he's really grown in terms of just his understanding of how to play the position, his timing, his rhythm. We're able to spend a lot of time together through the offseason doing 4-mans and just hanging out. I really enjoy coaching Connor. He loves football, and he's a blast to coach because of it. I've never even remotely had an issue, with him. He's coachable. He's tough. He's looking in the eye saying, yes, coach. And, when you have a quarterback that you can really rely on at that level, I think it does, tremendous things for the rest of your team. I think he's a guy that raises the level of play of those around him in a big way. So we're really fired up about Connor. We've got some skill guys back, a pretty deep running back room that we're fired up about. We returned Jeremiah Walker and Jacoby Neal in the backfield, a couple guys on the outside that have played a lot of ball for us, Steve Rodriguez, Jordan Howard, Anthony Freeze, Jace Beamlander, and Kingston Wright. We think are going to be really, really good players for us on the outside and at the skill positions. And then it's going to be an offensive line and tight end group that will be old for us. We return a couple guys that started a lot for us a number of games last year for us, and Elijah Baber and Willie Hillman that made tremendous strides through the offseason. And bringing in Luke Wagner also started for us. So that's three guys that started up front for us at different times last year. And then a couple guards that are going to be seniors, and Darnell Prince and Eric Medell that have just worked their tails off through the offseason. Tight end H-back room for us, Landon Kennedy and Christian Schmidt. Kingston Ware is going to play for us, and Jeremiah will also help in that area. So I covered a lot of ground, threw a lot of names at you, but we return a fair amount of production from last year's group. But it's just a group of guys that are really hungry. It's amazing. I mentioned that we give them this preseason down period off. I'm spending a lot of time at the school, obviously, because there's a lot to do, and our guys, they're just always 6 to 10 cars over at the practice field, and the guys are getting work in. It's a pretty cool thing, and I'm fortunate as a coach to coach such high character and hungry guys that love football. It's a blessing. So I covered offense there. You want me to hop into the D here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, for sure. So we returned Jeremiah and Kingston on the defensive line. Those were two all-conference guys for us. Logan Gore and Antonio Johnson are going to play a lot of defensive end for us. Those guys are going to be really, really good players. Braylon Malone, who's a sophomore. At linebacker, we return two guys that are going to be juniors that started for us as sophomores at different times throughout the year last year. DV Santos and Isaiah Burton. And those guys are super athletic, can really run. Colton Johnson is going to play some Mike backer for us. Eric Potus coming up as a junior. Dejan Wynn. That's going to be a deep linebacker room for us that we have high expectations for. And those guys are duking it out for those three spots. We're a 4-3 defense, and every spot's up for grabs, but we feel really, really good about the depth of that front seven and our ability to rotate fresh bodies in. And then on the back end, we return another junior that started for us last year as a sophomore, Anthony Freese, who's kind of the quarterback of that back end in a lot of ways. Super smart, amazingly cerebral player for us as a sophomore last year. And to have him back, we're able to be a little bit more multiple in some of the stuff we try to do in the back end, because he can handle a lot and he can get guys in place. And then Jacoby Neal next to him as the cat safety. Is Jacoby played a lot of ball for us at safety. He didn't start. He's our leading carrier. He got the most carries on our offense. And so he played a lot of safety for us. And when he came in, he was more than ready. And we think that those two guys in the back end are going to be really good for us. A number of seniors out at corner that have made huge strides. Terrence Riley has really transformed his body. Big physical kid. Brandon Poole has made huge strides. Kalen Hood Davis. We feel really, really good about the depth that we have on defense. And we're going to, as we get into our 2 days of helmets, 2 days of shells, full pads, and into scrimmage week, we're going to see who can tackle, but we've been able to spend a lot of time on our run fits with the competitive dates and making sure that guys understand the defense to the point where they can play fast. We want to force the ball east and west, come up and fit blocks, square, physicality defensively, stop the run, and force the offense into difficult passing situations as much as possible. So threw a lot of names at you there, a lot of guys that have worked really, really hard. Like I said, we're just so blessed here, so fortunate to work with student athletes that enjoy the year-round work that it takes, but they have fun with it too. They've made unbelievable strides. They're so strong and fast because of the work that they put in, and because of that, they're putting themselves in position to compete for jobs and to hopefully compete for some success here.
Absolutely. I do want to mention one thing. Like, I know obviously you've had a lot of impact on a lot of people in the last few years, but did you ever think that your quarterback from a few years ago would be also on staff with you too?
Yeah, I'm not shocked that Coach Mason is still with us coaching receivers. We've actually got his older brother working with our freshman team as well, man. I can't let the Masons go. They've been too impactful, and it's such a great family, great guys. They're tremendous coaches, and keeping them around and having them pour now into the high schoolers that we have, it was a no-brainer. We're fortunate to have them.
All right. Well, let's get it. Let's talk about the upcoming schedule for you guys, and it's going to be good. Of August 28th, starting off at home against Mount Pleasant. If you want to go watch the interview with Jason McIntyre that we did a couple weeks ago, go watch that one because you'll get a lot about Mount Pleasant that one too. But September 5th, home against Midland Dow for week two. Week three, September 12th at Grand Blanc. September 19th, home against Davison. September 26th at Lapeer. October 3rd, home against Flint, Carmen Ainsworth. October 10th at Midland. October 17th at U of D Jesuit. And finishing out the regular season at home, October 24th, home against Saginaw United. So it's a tough schedule, as you know, and this is obviously something that you've been building towards since you got to Saginaw Heritage. But this is a pretty good schedule. There's never a give me game in high school football. I don't know if any that's just true with anything. But what's this that's going to be like in the SVL this year?
Yeah, super competitive schedule. I mean, 6 of the 9 teams on our schedule made the playoffs last year, and the 3 that didn't are super talented, and I think are certainly trending toward that direction. And Carmen, U of D, and Saginaw United. Our first 5 games, it's a real gauntlet, and you learn a lot about who you are through that stretch and throughout the entire schedule. We you can't even look remotely past week one. I mean, Mount Pleasant is one of the best programs in the state of Michigan. They're led by a Hall of Fame coach. Coach Mack over there is really as good of a high school football coach as you're going to find. They're so well prepared. They're tough, well connected. There's a why behind every single thing that he does. And I actually think coaching against him has done a lot for me because if you're not well prepared, you're going to get punched in the teeth. And we've had a little success the last couple of years against them because our kids have been really well prepared. And we're gonna have to be on our A+ game to be competitive in that one again. So looking forward to week one for sure. But I think it's going to be one of the best games in the state of Michigan, and we know how well that we're going to have to play, and that helps keep our guys on edge throughout the summer and throughout these first couple of weeks as we prep for game one, as we sprinkle that into these first couple of weeks and then really get into it the week of the 25th, the 24th, 25th, that Sunday, Monday. So really competitive schedule. We've seen Dow 4 times the last 2 years. We saw Midland twice last year. Like it's a really competitive schedule, and these are teams that we play so much that you get to know pretty well, and it's a great league to play in. The SVL is as competitive as they come. Obviously, on the south end where we are in the South Division, that stretch of Grand Blanc, Davison, Lapeer has really prepared us and helped our guys to become battle tested. We lost a really close one to Grand Blanc last year, won a tight one against Lapeer, and Davison put it on us a little bit last year. And so I think we're well prepared for for the playoffs by competing against those teams and fortunate to be in one of the best leagues in the state.
Absolutely. So what are the next 2 weeks going to look like for you guys as camp starts on the 11th? Because of course, that first week, as you mentioned, it's the kind of the install week. Of course, you got helmets and then pads and then and then the shells, I should say, and then
Yep.
the full pads on Friday. And then of course that following week, the annual tradition, this with the scrimmage with Northville.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have those 15 competitive dates in the summer, and as a result, because we're able to spend a lot of time with our guys in the summer, we are able to hit the ground running a little bit more on August 11th. We reteach, we reinstall everything, but that process is a bit accelerated because we do get a fair amount of time with them in the summer, and we feel like our guys come out of the summer for the most part having mastered a lot of our base install, and that allows us to accelerate the rest of our install. So those first 2 days are a lot like the days that we get in the summer. We do a lot of meeting and walkthrough time around the practices as well, just so that we just spending classroom time and making sure that the guys we film everything that we can at practice, and we use that to teach and try to accelerate that process of growth. So as we get into week 2, we do head down to Northville every year for a scrimmage against one of the best programs in the state, 5th biggest school in the state. That's my buddy Brent down there at Northville. It's always a great time to get down there and do a 1v1 scrimmage against them, and we learn a lot about ourselves because they're They're big, they're physical, they're fast, they're well coached, and so we feel like we come out of that scrimmage having a really good feel for our personnel and very well prepared for week one as a result. So yeah, it's one of the most exciting times of the year. Once Monday hits, though, the 11th, it moves really fast. We start school on the 19th, so I guess a week and a half or so from here, that second Tuesday of practice, and so process moves really, really quick. Those are long days for our kids, but at least I guess what I like about that personally is that when we get into the week of week one, our kids have already been going to school and are into that process a little bit more.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Justin, thank you so much for the time as always, and best of luck to the Hawks this coming season.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate you, man. You do a great job. I enjoy watching all your interviews. Have a good one.